Hi, I'm Ethan and I'll be teaching you how to play the bass guitar. The first two things that you'll need is a bass and an amp. The amp is not technically required, but it is preferred because it gives a louder and a better sounding sound. However, a bass guitar is required. It doesn't matter what kind. Personally, I prefer my bass, which is a Dean matte black bass. I like it mostly because of the looks. It also sounds very good. A strap is recommended. I have this nice looking strap that fits nicely on my shoulder and is set to a pretty good length so that I can comfortably play everything. You'll also need to use all the cords that come with the amp. I already plugged it into the outlet, but then you'll also need this cord that you plug into the input of the amp, and then the other end goes into the bass itself. I like to put it through the strap and then into the plug so that it doesn't fall out, and if it does fall out, I can plug it right back in easily. Now the bass is off right now, but I can show you what it sounds like when it's on and all the different options that it has. So the on button is on the back, but I'm not going to turn it on yet. First I'm going to show you what it sounds like without the bass amp. Doesn't sound that great. It sounds okay, but as soon as I turn it on, you can definitely notice a difference with the sound. You'll need to get a bass amp specifically. All the rest of the amps are guitar amps. They work with a bass amp, but not nearly as well as these bass amps do. This is the volume knob. I have it turned out just a little bit, but you don't really need to turn it up that much. I have my parents upstairs, so I don't want to bother them too much. And then these three knobs adjust the bass, the treble, and the mid of the sound coming through the bass into the amp. I'm not going to mess with these right now because I have them set to how I want them to be, but what it essentially does is changes how much bass goes into the sound and how much treble, and then just the in-between. I have the bass turned down slightly, I have the treble turned up slightly, and the mid turned up slightly, just because I like that overall sound. There is the aux plug. You can plug an aux cord like this into it with two headphone jacks, and then you can plug the other end into something like a phone and then play songs through the amp so that you can play along with the songs. It's pretty convenient, but I don't use it too often. There is also the phones plug, which I don't use at all. This button is the contour button. Basically what it does is it makes it a bit quieter. Not too much, but it's pretty effective if I'm trying to be quiet down here without anybody hearing me upstairs. The overdrive is a pretty fun button to use. I'll show you what it sounds like without it, and then with it, it's obviously a louder and more distorted sound, which sounds great, but it's not the best when you're trying to be quiet. So I'll put the amp back. I'm supposed to play it when it's laying down like that. It's supposed to be standing up like this. And on to actually playing the bass. There are 4 strings to a bass, while there are 6 to a guitar. Well, normally. They can have more, but mostly it's just 4. I have these 2 knobs that you can also use, but I don't use them very often because they just adjust the volume and the bass and treble, which you already saw were on here. So I leave these 2 in the middle, and I just use those because it's the same thing. The 4 strings would be E, A, D, and G. You play them simply by putting your thumb right here, resting it on this rest, and then putting any of your fingers on the strings, like this. And then if you want to put one of your fingers on the frets on the string like that, you can. And then you just pull the finger up so it bounces back and makes a sound. It's pretty simple, and with some practice it can sound really good. And that's how you play bass.